I know there's a lot of beef online about which ones to start with. I was like, I know where this is going. I was like, oh guys, I wish I enjoyed this. Oh my god, how did I not see this coming? And I DNF'd it twice, and the spice was so good. The book was going viral on TikTok. Right now I'm just avoiding any reviews, any information about Throne of Glass like the plague. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tash. We are going to be doing my December reading wrap up today. I thought I'm gonna try change the layout of how I discuss these videos, because usually I just go straight into discussing the books. And I thought I never really go through all of my TBR jar reads and confirm which ones I got to and which ones I didn't. So I'm gonna add that in at the start so you know which ones I actually went through with, and then I'll move into all of the books I've read. Starting off, this was my TBR for December. I feel like I did okay. It wasn't a complete win. Oh, and sorry about the lighting. I've closed the blinds and everything, and there's just still these little dots here, so please ignore them. I don't know what else to do. Let's go through all of the books firstly. We all know about Buckled. I've had this on my TBR for probably maybe 6 months. Every time it gets selected in the TBR jar video, I never read it. And you know what? I've decided that I'm just going to give up on the series. I said in the last video that if I didn't get to it by the end of December that I was going to DNF it, and yeah. I'm going to DNF it. I think I'm actually going to sell the series, so I'm probably just going to sell it on my Vinted. Get rid of all 3 of the books because I didn't really like the first one, and this one's just not interesting. English, I'm just not interested enough in it to continue. So Buckled is gone. She's finally gone. She's off. She's DNF'd. We can get rid of her. Funny Feelings by Tara Jewett. Yeah, I didn't get to it. I attempted. I brought it down on a holiday with me. I brought 5 books for a 2-day holiday, and I thought I was gonna read all of them. I read no books during that time besides Assassin's Blade. Yeah, that's gonna have to go on my TBR for another month. Lessons in Revenge. Oh my god, this lighting is not good. Let me try and move across a little bit. Lessons in Revenge. Didn't even think about this book. Really want to read it. I don't know. That was just a no. Cup of Zodiac. You know I didn't read it, so that's going back. I did actually read one of the fan fictions. So the one I didn't read was Remain Nameless. I just ran out of time, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to pick that up. I'm sort of over my Hermione fixation, so I don't know when that will come back, but we will see. Hopefully that lighting's a little bit better. So I didn't finish Remain Nameless, but I did however finish Secret to Mars. I have recently found out that you're not meant to actually rate fan fictions, which I did not know that. I'm just going to talk about the book and how it made me feel because I don't want to get in trouble with fan fiction. So yes, I did finish it. This was a dark alternate universe Hermione fan fiction. Really enjoyed it, to be honest, but the only thing was it did drag on for me, and it was very long. And the ending, I do want to give pre-warning, it is, I don't know how to describe this. It's possibly, some people may see it as not a happily ever after, and I didn't see it that way as well. I'm just going to put it out there. Anyone who wants to go into this book, if you can only read books with happily ever after, I probably would suggest steering clear of this one. It did definitely give me all of the feels. I was in my emotions for probably the whole entire second half. It's really bad lighting. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you can't hear the car in the background because there's someone revving a car out the front for no apparent reason, and I don't know why. Like, why does everything always happen when I start filming? Yeah, so it's definitely a more adult version of Hermione and Draco because it is, I believe, 8 years after the war. They've been in a war for 8 years. Sorry, not after the war. They are definitely adults, and I feel like people who probably have had negative reviews about this probably assume that they're going to still be in their adolescent mannerisms and their vocabulary, because it's definitely not the usual Draco and Hermione. They are swearing a lot, they have gone through a lot of things, and they're smoking, they're drinking. It's just a more adult-esque version of them, which I sort of enjoyed about that. It definitely was a slow burn, and even though there was some spice that was happening maybe a little bit sooner than what I had anticipated, it still didn't deter from the actual story. So it wasn't like it was just like a really spicy fan fiction. I don't know, it had the right balance, I would say. Yeah, the only thing was it was probably one of the longest fan fictions I've read besides Manacled, but Manacled was different. I feel like Manacled, I felt like I wasn't reading at all, as where with Secret to Mars I kept stopping and starting, and then I'd, you know, have a few days days in between and maybe read another book. And I don't know, it just was like that type of book that didn't feel like you wanted to continue. Do you know what? Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I feel like maybe I've just been reading too much Draco and Hermione, and that's probably where I've now over consumed it. And this was just like my last book. I was like, okay, this is the end. I need to have a break. I think that's what was my thought process while reading it. So yeah. Yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I think I would definitely recommend it to anyone as long as you can handle the not happily ever after. Not happy. Yeah. Oh my god, why is my brain not working? Moving on to the next book I read, which I'm not going in any particular order of when I read these. I'm just going to go through my TBR and then the other books I've read for the month. So Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas. I started the Throne of Glass series. I did start with this book. I know there's a lot of beef online about which ones to start with, whether if you go in publication order or if you go in order of the books of what they're meant to be. I just went with the novella beforehand, well, the 5 novellas beforehand, and I'm now in the middle of Throne of Glass actually right now as we're speaking. So I do think it probably was the best decision to read this, even though I do think most of the things that happened in here were very predictable. I definitely saw the ending coming, and it was just like in the words that they were using while they were speaking, like you sort of like it was hinting really majorly as to what was about to happen. I enjoyed it. Didn't love it. Probably give it a 3-star. Yeah, it's sort of nice to just have that like setting up of what we're going into, and now I'm sort of understanding pronouncing her name. I think it's Selena. I'm definitely gonna say Selena. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'm not gonna check how to pronounce all the names until I finish all of the books, because I don't want to ruin anything in case I see a video that I'm not meant to see, because right now I'm just avoiding any reviews, any information about Throne of Glass like the plague. Anything on TikTok, scroll straight away. As soon as I see Throne of Glass, gone. Flicked. So this is definitely my priority of making sure that I don't mess it up. Anyway, 3 stars. Then I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood this month. I had such high expectations because this does come out February 6th of this year, so we've probably got a month until you guys can start reading it. I got sent this by the publisher. Super lucky to have received this, and I think knowing Ali Hazelwood and how much I loved her books, I was just super excited to jump into this, and guys, I'm disappointed. I think fantasy is not for her, and I know it's definitely a romance with a side of fantasy, like a sprinkle of fantasy. She hasn't quite done fantasy justice, and like I'm just gonna say she didn't really explain things. Like she would say things without saying them, or she would go into a scene or a scenario or whatever it is, not explain everything that needed to be explained. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by that? And that was where it sort of fell off for me. However, besides like the fantasy aspect, the romance I do believe was up to par with like how she usually handles it, and that's what made me like the book and still finish the book, because it just had that Ali Hazelwood feeling to it, if you know what I mean. Like when you read an Ali Hazelwood book, it's just got that feeling. It's hard to explain. It's just like her way of writing. It definitely had that in here, which is what made me like it, but I didn't love it again, so I did give it 3 stars. I just felt like it was a very not character driven, maybe more like sexually driven book, where it was more focused on like him not being able to control himself and her trying to explore her sexuality rather than like their love for each other. I didn't feel the love or the chemistry between them, and that's where it was sort of like, I was like, oh, I had such high hopes. And I felt like every time they were talking, it was just in relation to what was either going on in the plot or like them sexually, not anything to do with like them as people. Maybe it had a little bit, but not enough for me to connect with both of them as a couple. I hope that makes sense. Oh my god, guys, look what happened to Throne of the Fallen. I accidentally ripped it in my bag. So sad. Throne of the Fallen, I read this book and I actually really liked this book, more than like, probably loved it. I gave it a 4-star. I was very like entertained the entire time, I'm not gonna lie. The plot that was happening and the plot twist that came at the end, like it was like a double plot twist almost. I thought, like, I was like, I know where this is going. And like I guessed one of the things about, you know, who the female main character, like what was happening with her, and I sort of guessed like where that was in, because there was little inklings of messages, like, you know, a bit of foreshadowing everywhere here and there. Then there was just the plot twist at the end where I was like, oh my god, how did I not see this coming? And that's what made it so much better. Like I think if it was just the first plot twist that happened where I was like, gotcha, I saw it coming, then I would have been upset. But because of the second and almost even third plot twist, I was like, I really surprised me, and I really enjoyed her writing, because I did actually enjoy her other series, and now getting to see where Camilla and Emby are now having their own story, it was just bringing me back into that world. I'm just flicking through the pages and like this book was so spicy. Like I didn't realize how spicy it was gonna be, and the spice was so good. Yeah, you guys have to read this. I'm not gonna lie, some of the moments literally made me gasp. I was like, oh, he did not just say that. Even besides the spice, like just the plot in general of this book was, it was phenomenal. It was a really well-rounded book and it's definitely worth the time. I highly recommend reading this book. Carrie did such a good job. I can't wait for the next book. She did just announce it on her Instagram. Super excited. Wow, I've just realized how little I read last month because of all the work I was doing. I was so busy. I read 5 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, and I've talked about 4 of them already. I've only got 1 more left. And this one I did actually go rogue. The book was going viral on TikTok. Everyone was talking about it. I haven't read any of the other books in the series because I have tried to read Rena Kent's books previously, which was the first book in this series, and I DNF'd it twice. I don't know why I thought, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go read this Rena Kent book. I didn't enjoy her reading the 2 times I tried to start the series, and I just thought, yeah, I'm gonna jump into the last book of the series, fuck it. Who am I? I went in to read God of Fury because I do love an MM book. You know what, everyone's saying that this is the best book of the series. I'm just gonna see if I like it. I went and read it. I gave it 3 stars. Oh guys, I wish I enjoyed this. I wish. Oh no. So this is like a mafia dark romance where it's like the 2 children of like her previous series, and they've now met and they're sort of like finding their way in their little like underworld almost. They've got a position of power in the London underground and one is like in the mafia, and I'm pretty sure it was Russian. Anyway, so they both meet at this weird event where they're trying to get into a gang, but like they're doing like initiations and they have to like run and chase people while the people who own the gang have like masks on, and somehow he targets him and he chooses him, and then from that point onwards he becomes a stalker. And like, trust me, I'm Haunting Adeline 5-star read. Loved that book. I don't know, it just wasn't hitting the same. The chemistry wasn't there, but then I've also now seen online that to understand the chemistry you should have read the other books in the series because like they've slowly been building up. Yeah, obviously I've just missed them all. It was like a spy scene after spy scene and I just was not feeling the... Yeah, I was just reading my thoughts in my phone and I just remember it was very repetitive in the fact of, yeah, they were just sexual for almost 50% of the book. We weren't really learning much else about them besides their physical relationship. That was probably my thing where I was like, I don't get it. One of them's meant to be exploring their sexuality and there wasn't much exploration of that, and I felt like it was a lot of generalizations and it was just, I don't know, it was very... And like there was a lot of mental health representation that could have been handled a little bit differently, and I feel like it could have been a major plot point, and I felt like it was very brushed over because I can't remember if it was Nico or I forgot the other character's name. I forgot the other guy's name. I can't be bothered even trying to find it, but basically like a lot of things happen where like something traumatic had happened and like it would just get brushed over too quickly, and I'm like, that could have been such a major plot point for them, almost just, I don't know, like bonding, and also then him now getting the help that he needs. Like it could have just been so much more explored in that could have been such a like a selling point for the book if you had made these mental health issues prominent, because that's like, this was such a character driven book that I'm like, why wasn't their development pushed more, you know? Do you know what, I probably would drop it down to a 2.5 because I have not even thought about this book since. Actually, maybe even a 2-star. Like as soon as I finished it, like the next day I like thought about the review and I sat down and like wrote down notes about it, but I just haven't actually thought about the book since, or the couple. So maybe a 2-star. Wow, I'm being really harsh this month. Wow. I'm ruthless sometimes. Like I can go from having like multiple 5-star reads and then just go to like 3 stars for everyone. That is my reading wrap up. I did terribly at getting lots of books finished before the end of the year, and I think I was way too confident with the amount of books that I put on my TBR without realizing how long of a book Secret to Mars was. That book took me 2 weeks to finish. It was crazy long and I was reading for hours every night, maybe 3 hours most nights. That was a long book. This month I am a lot more determined. My video for my TBR jar has just been uploaded already yesterday, so no, today. What am I talking about? That was uploaded today. If you want to go watch that video and see what I'm reading for January, just want to say, because I think I haven't said it already, but this is a happy new year to you guys, and I wish you all the best for the year to come, I feel like it's going to be a good year. I feel like we're all going to have a good year. I've got positive vibes. Let's just hope some of these new releases that are coming out are better than what we've been receiving last year, because we've had a lot of doozies and a lot of books where I'm like, what was this? We need the authors to put in a little bit of extra care and a bit more time into the books this year, because that would be really appreciated. And I don't even care if I have to wait an extra 6 months. I would much rather wait and have a more well-rounded book than the fast-paced, fast fashion almost books that we're getting. That was my little rant over and done with, but thank you so much for watching today's video. Next month I will have way more books to review for you, and I do apologize that this was such a quick roundup. I'm gonna love you and I'm gonna leave you, as I always say, and I will see you in my next video.